Interview with Zeke Hayter, a tribute to Linda, the unforgettable companion. Zeke Hayter, founder and proprietor of the esteemed independent record label Evil Dead Records, is recognized for his unwavering dedication to music, acting, and his singular artistic perspective. Nevertheless, Ike's personal life was also profoundly impacted by his relationship with Linda, a devoted English Cocker Spaniel who, throughout her 18-year lifespan, a dog who was not only an integral part of his musical family but also an unwavering companion to many. This tribute seeks to celebrate Linda's life and commemorate the legacy she left on all those fortunate enough to have known her. First question: what was your initial impression when you first met Linda?
I'm sorry it took me a while to get back to you. My life's just been really busy lately. Um, I remember seeing Linda. I think the first time I saw the picture of Linda was on the single for the song "Dislocated Spine." I was pretty sure that it was on that Linda was also on the cover that was put on Spotify or whatever for my second album, The Day of Reckoning, the alternative cover. A lot of my alternative covers, yeah, had Linda on the cover, which I just remember particularly thinking the cover for Dislocated Spine was really cool because I remember um, Linda being sort of on the roof of a house, I think. I haven't seen the cover in a while, but if I saw it again, I remember it looked really cool. It was like a cool sort of picture for the single. I always thought that was kind of cool how it was sort of like alternative versions of the covers and stuff, like yeah, and Linda was on a lot of those covers. Yeah, it was almost like because yeah, it was almost like I'm trying to think of a way to explain it, like the Spanish version of the album cover or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I liked that. It was like an alternative version of the cover. It's kind of cool. Gave it a bit of a different kind of feel.
How would you describe Linda's relationship with the Evil Dead Records community?
I would say almost like a mascot, and it's very sad to hear about Linda's passing because yeah, it was kind of cool that she was on so many of the album covers and stuff like that.
Is there a particular story or experience involving Linda that has had a profound effect on you personally or left an indelible mark on the record label?
Sorry if I keep taking a while to get back. It's because I don't have my phone at the moment, so I have to respond on my laptop, and I very rarely go on Instagram on my laptop. Um, I would say just yeah, I feel like my music must have touched you and sort of meant a lot to you in that way for you to put Linda on the cover of a lot of my albums like that, which I thought was really cool.
What do you believe made Linda so special to the community and to those who knew her?
Well, Linda was obviously very special and close with you, um, since you felt the need to add Linda to all these album covers, and I thought that the pictures you took of Linda were really cool. Um, I just recently again saw the Some Southside Songs EP, which I forgot that Linda was on the cover of that. But yeah, I mean, it was always done in a really cool way too. Like I think my favorite was the Dislocated Spine one, where yeah, I liked the picture of Linda on top of the roof like that. That I always thought that was a pretty cool picture. Like just in general for the single, like yeah.
How are you and your family faring in these days? How has music impacted your life recently? And what projects are currently underway at Evil Dead Records?
My music's been kind of put on hold due to an injury that I've recently suffered, but I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things. Um, I am currently working on a new album, but it's probably not going to be out until 2025 because I'm really taking my time with it, and I want it to be exactly what I want it to be. The next Zeke Hayter album is going to be called Ugly. I'm also releasing a remix album to For President, which is hopefully going to be released in November. I'm shooting for November, which will be exactly 10 years after the original Four Presidents. So sort of like an anniversary thing, but it's a remix album. I was possibly going to try and make a music video for Glitter off my Sad Girl EP.
How do you stay inspired and creative in the music industry? Do you have any special rituals or processes for composing or producing music?
That's an interesting question. How do I stay motivated? Because I have gone through phases where I haven't been motivated and I've lost my motivation and stuff like that. Um, Back in 2015, I was probably pushing my hardest to try and get famous when I made my album Omega. And when it didn't have the success I wanted it to have, that was pretty heartbreaking for me. And I almost quit music completely after that. And, you know, I still have mixed views about that to this day. Like, I feel like that album should have gotten a lot more fucking recognition than it did, and like, yeah, but I try not to be sad about that. um, it, it, it's sort of a thing where I took a step back and I put an album Roadkill, very first album I made when I was like 12. And when I recorded that album, it was just me alone in my room by myself, and I was the only person that could hear it. And I was listening to it back. I recorded my very first album on a cassette, Roadkill, and I'd record the songs and I'd play them back. I'd be like, "Yeah, this is mad. I'm making my own album," and like I kind of drifted away from that. Like that's what music should be about. It should just be about having fun. Like all this crap about like trying to get famous and shit. Like I don't know, it just sucks all the fun out of it. So I kind of went back to that, and that's sort of how I make music now. Like it's just completely a thing I do for me. Like if other people like it, then that's a bonus. But yeah, if you're making music solely to try and get famous, then you're already doing it for all the wrong reasons. Like yeah, like because you're not going to have any passion in what you're doing. And there's a lot of people that don't understand the difference between making music because you're passionate about music and making music because you just want to make money. I won't say any names, but yeah, in 2015, I made Amiga, and there was some other rappers that people were listening to at the time that I just thought were absolute fucking garbage in comparison to what I was making, and it made me really salty. I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me! Like this album is not better than Amiga. It's just not." And I still stand by that. Like 10 years later, um, and yeah, it was really discouraging, and it was like it made me realize that it doesn't matter how good of a record you make. It matters, you know, people like what they're told to like, and it's as simple as that. See, I was under the impression that if I just make the best record I can possibly fucking make, then people will have to like it, and it'll have to get the recognition it deserves. Unfortunately, the music industry doesn't work that way. The music industry is very, very rigged, and it's not about how good you are; it's about who you know. It's as simple as that. But you know, it's also a thing of yeah, I got very discouraged by that for a while, and then I went back to that place I was in when I very first started making music, and it wasn't about any of that, like it was just about having fun making music, like, and I kind of lost that a bit in my mid 20s, but I've come back to that now, and I have fun doing it again now. I also take a bit longer now to make my records because I don't want to put something out. I don't want to rush things. Like I want to take my time with what I'm making because I don't want to put something out unless it's something I really like the sound of. Like my most recent album, Zeke Hayter, like it's only got 10 tracks, and it took me a while to put it out because I really took my time with it, and I wanted like every song to like be a banger. Like yeah, which is what I'm doing with this new record I'm working on, Ugly as well. I'm really taking my time with it because, like, yeah, I don't just want to put an album out for the sake of putting an album out. Like, I want to put something out that, like, when I listen to it, I really like it. Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, that's what matters the most. I think. Like, do you like it? Like if other people like it, that's cool. Like if it gets a fair bit of recognition, that's cool. But like, yeah, that's the most important thing I think anyway with making music is when you listen to it back, do you like it? And if the answer is yes, then that's it really. That's the goal. But like I've made music with people and they've been discouraged because of like what some other person has said to them about the music, and I've been like, who cares what they think? You know, like it's our music. Like, what about what we think? You know, like a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people care way too much what other people think. I think a lot of people don't understand that in 2020 I adopted this new mindset when I released the album Sold Out. That album was basically, it wasn't just an album, it was a game changer. It was making a statement. It was saying that I don't give a fuck about the rap community at all. And I'm going on record and saying that. Like, the rap community are idiots that only listen to what they're told to listen to. You know, they don't, I said that in the song Dream. That's kind of what that song was about. You know, like the rap community doesn't support talent. It supports, again, I'm not going to go ahead and say names because I ain't out here trying to start beef with nobody or nothing like that. But there is rappers that people listen to that they only listen to because they're told to listen to them, and these rappers are just absolute trash. So it sort of became this thing of like, and that album was kind of making a statement like, we don't care what anyone else thinks but us. You know, like, and me and Bloody have kind of created this slogan now for Evil Dead Records where we say we're celebrating ourselves, which means like we don't care what the fuck anyone else thinks. You know, like we're celebrating the fact that we've been doing this for 20 years. You know, like we're celebrating our own accomplishments because people will always try to discredit everything that you do. You know, like, and if you come back at that with, well, I don't care what you say. You know, like I know my music's the shit, and it doesn't matter what you've got to say about it. Nothing's going to change my opinion on that. You know, I know that my music's dope, and that's all there is to it. And like, that's really a good feeling if you can reach that. If you can reach that feeling, you know, like of just completely not caring what people think. Because you know, at the end of the day, people are idiots. And yeah, if you can get to that place, it took me a long time to get to that place, but like it's sort of a whole new era. Like ever since 2020, like that's why the music's kind of has a bit more raw attitude. I think now since then, you know, like because we really don't give a fuck, you know, and it shows in the music. And like if you can get to that place where it's like, you know, I don't care what anyone else has to say about it. It's not going to discourage me in any way because I know that my music's fresh, you know, like, and that's like that's a good feeling to have, you know, like, yeah, like nothing can discourage me anymore. Like, yeah. And yeah, like these days, like I won't even like make music with somebody if they care too much what other people think. It immediately discourages me because it comes back to that thing of like, well, I don't care about any of that. I care about what I think. It only matters if I think it's good, you know. Like if other people like it, again, like that's a bonus, but it's not the reason to do it. You should be doing it because you like it. My music's been kind of put on hold due to an injury that I've recently suffered, but I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things. Um, I am currently working on a new album, but it's probably not going to be out until 2025 because I'm really taking my time with it, and I want it to be exactly what I want it to be. The next Zeke Hayter album is going to be called Ugly. I'm also releasing a remix album to For President, which is hopefully going to be released in November. I'm shooting for November, which will be exactly 10 years after the original For President, so sort of like an anniversary thing, but it's a remix album. I was possibly going to try and make a music video for Glitter off my Sad Girl EP.
What message or theme do you seek to express through your music in the present day?
Well, with every album, I try to go with a different sound. I've always tried to make every album sound different to the last album. I tried to make, like my most recent album, Zeke Hayter New, was very sort of just to the point. It was just 10 new Zeke Hayter songs, you know, like, but Euphoria, you know, like that album was like a Christian rap album. Um, yeah, Lust was about the temptations in the world, you know, sin and stuff like that. You know, like each album I try to make sort of have a theme. You know, like Sold Out, the album before that was like sort of dissing the rap community. community and stuff like that. This record I'm working at the moment, Ugly, is a reflection of the world, because I think the world at the moment, we're living in an ugly world. And the EP that I currently just released, Sad Girl, which is actually like it's probably the most experimental CD I've ever made. It's really different. I'm playing an alter ego that I came up with called Sad Girl, and I'm rapping as Sad Girl, and from her perspective. And just, yeah, like with every release, I try to go for a different theme. But with the album I'm working on, Ugly, which probably won't be out till 2025, I'm really taking my time with it. The concept of the record is it's a reflection of how ugly I've seen today's world, and yeah, I'm putting that out on a record. Yeah, my last album, Zeke Hayter, was probably like one of the only albums I've made that didn't really follow that concept formula. Like, I just worked really hard on 10 tracks that I thought sounded fire, and that was it. And that was why it was just called Zeke Hayter New, because it was just 10 new Zeke Hayter songs. It was very direct and to the point. Ugly is more of a concept kind of record. It's yeah, a reflection of how ugly society has become today, in my eyes, anyway. But yeah, that's sort of what I go for. Like, whenever I make a record, I try to make each record sound very different to the album I made before that album. You know, like I don't want all my albums to sound the same. So like, basically, unless I come up with a theme that I think is like really cool or something I want to work on, you know, like I don't even really work on a record these days unless I feel like I've got a theme. And I've been doing that for like about the past 10 years now, you know, like a lot of my earlier stuff is just sort of, I don't know, horrorcore sounding. Whereas I think around 10 years ago, around like the For President era, because the concept of that record was elect me for president. It's like the concept of that. So that was when I started like dabbling with concept records. And yeah, I've tried to, yeah, constantly make each record sound very different to the last one ever since. Like, yeah, like Damien again was a concept record about, it was all based around religion and stuff like that. And then the album I made after it, White Mob, was completely different again. I took things in a different direction. I don't want to, I've always tried to stay clear of that thing of like, I don't want my next album to just sound like a continuation of the last album. Like, yeah, I always try to switch it up. Another thing that drives me in a weird way, and this will sound strange to some people, but anger and hate is something that drives me. And I don't know, like, I feel like if my life was just easy, it would give me nothing to write about, you know, like when people doubt me, and I have to feel like you know, like I don't feel like I've got nothing to prove to anyone. It's not that, but like it's this thing of like I like when people doubt me because it gives me motivation to prove them wrong. You know, like if everybody just gave me flowers all the time, my music could probably suck. You know, like it's that constant doubting me thing. You know, like so if people want my music to keep sounding good, then keep telling me I suck because I'll keep going out of my way to prove you wrong. Like I feel like my most recent record, Zeke Hayter New, is debatably my best album. You know, I think it's easy, probably my best album since Omega. And like 2023 was one of the hardest years of my life. You know, like, and that was sort of a reflection on that album. Like you can tell like the anger and the aggression and stuff in the album. Like it's genuine, it's real. You know, like it's not phony. And I think the people who do like my music, that's one of the reasons they like it. I've been told by people before, you know, they can feel that the energy in it is real, you know, like I'm not forcing anything, you know, like I'm not saying stuff because, oh, this will sound cool or whatever, you know, like I'm not trying to sound cool. I'm letting out real emotion in these songs, you know, like I'm really going for shit, you know, like, and I'm letting it out in my music. Another thing too, like when I said before the album Sold Out was a game changer, it really was, because there was a lot of things I wanted to say about the rap community and I was holding back. And it was like, oh, you can't say this about that rapper, you can't say this about this rapper, and it's like, I'm just gonna say whatever the fuck I feel. And that was such a game changer. That changed everything, you know, like, and like I approach almost everything that way now. Like, I don't hold back at all, ever, you know, like, that's like another thing with the most recent EP I put out, Sad Girl. I knew it was mad experimental, and I wasn't sure who was going to like it and who wasn't going to like it, but it was what I felt like doing. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters, you know. And like, when you break down all those barriers, I think you can get the most experimental with it that you can, you know. Like the amount of people I've recorded music with, and they're like, oh, no, you can't say that because what if people think this? And like, I reached a point in my career where I was just like, fuck all that, you know, like, I'm not going to hold back anymore. I'm going to say whatever I want on my records, you know, like, and that is another motivating force in my current way of writing, you know, like, yeah. Since adopting this mindset, I think I've written some of my best songs today, you know, like, since adopting this I'm not holding back anymore mindset, I'm just going to completely speak how I feel about everything. And I'm not going to have this thing anymore of, oh, what will people think if I release this, you know, like, once you take those shackles off and they're completely gone, it just becomes, what do I think of it? And you listen to it, and if the answer to that question is, I fuck with it, I like it, then that's it. That's it. It gets released, and the music has changed a lot since adapting. Is it adapting or adopting? I don't know. I'm a rapper and I can't even talk properly. Adopting this mindset, it was a massive game changer for me. Once you've truly removed that weight from your shoulders of caring about what other people might think, your possibilities are endless. And I don't like getting labeled particularly a horrorcore rapper either, because like, if you go back to like the 2000s, I guess you could say my shit was horrorcore. A lot of my shit was like ICP and Twisted covers back then though. So like, I don't like this thing either of being labelled like a horrorcore rapper, because like, you could take a song like Rebirth or Diamonds or Feel Better Now, World Is Yours. You know, like, these are songs I can just think of off the top of my head that like, even the song Hate Everyone, like, isn't really a horrorcore song, you know, like, I feel horrorcore is more like fucking stab, stab, cut, cut, slice, slice, dice, dice, and I think my shit's a bit more complex than that. I think Zeke Hayter music is just Zeke Hayter music. It ranges from all different kinds of sounds. And I guess maybe there's that stigma there because that was our roots, you know, that's where we came from. We started off as horrorcore, you know, we are Evil Dead Records and all this shit, you know, and there is a horror aesthetic there. But I don't like being thrown in with the horrorcore rabbits. I don't like being thrown in any box, you know, like, it's on my own thing. And I'm not going to name names again because I'm not trying to start beef with anybody, but I think a lot of horrorcore rappers suck because I think, you know, that's all they rap about and they don't have any other subjects, and I think I can rap about all different kinds of things. I have all different kinds of songs like Mute, Darkest Hour, Fly Away. I mean, you take a song like Glitter, you know, but like, that's the last thing from horrorcore, you know, like, I think Zeke Hayter music is Zeke Hayter music. It's got its own style.
Do you have plans to collaborate with other artists, either within the rap genre or across other musical genres?
Well, here's the thing, like, I'm only really collaborating with Bloody now because
everybody I've ever collaborated with almost has been ungrateful for the fact that I've put them on. You know, nobody would have even known who they were if it weren't for me, and they've been ungrateful for it, and they've spat it back in my face. So it's sort of become this thing now where I used to be keen to do a song with anybody who was keen to do a song with me, but I don't really work that way anymore. I'm only working with people who actually have respect for the record label, and a lot of people I've worked with over the years, they don't respect the label, and they have no respect for the things I've done for their music, and I'm done with all that, like I've put people on my record label. I've had people on Evil Dead Records where I have gone out of my way to get them a fan base. I've gotten people listening to their music. I've made music videos for these people. I've done all these things for these people. I've put their records out. I've made up proper albums for them and everything, and they resent me for it. So I'm done with all that, like I'm not helping nobody with shit anymore, straight up. And I kind of figure in 2024, if you need help with your music, fuck you anyway. Like, cause you got all the same resources as me, like you're just not putting in the same work as me. It really does come down to that. Bloody respects what we do and understands that it's a hustle, like you can't just expect me to do everything for you. You have to put in some work, So he's the only person I'm planning on working with in the future. The only group I'm in is Enemies of Benefits now. And well, I'm also in another group called Side Quest, but that's a whole other thing that you'll get to see more of that in the future. And Paul Secure will always sort of be a thing, but our albums are far and few in between. Like when I started Evil Dead Records, I was under the impression that like I wanted us all to work together as a team. Other people don't see it that way. Other people get very competitive and petty about things. And like if somebody on my label puts, like if Bloody puts a record out and it's the best record of the year, I'm not going to sit there and stew and be jealous, like I'm going to congratulate him and be happy for him. But a lot of people on the label don't think that way, and I put in the work and I put out a good album, and they get pissed off that more people are listening to my album than their album, and it's at the end of the day it comes down to them being lazy and taking it out on me. So yeah, I'm only working with Bloody, and Enemies of Benefits is the only group I'm doing from now on. So yeah, as of 2024, Evil Dead Records consists of me, Bloody. There is another group, Finding Convention, Pole Secure, and there is an upcoming group, Side Quest, which does actually have an album out, but it's there's more of an EP that we're going to be working on that's going to get released more publicly. But Evil Dead Records has become a very, very small group now. We've for lack of a better term, we've trimmed a lot of the fat, and we've gotten rid of a lot of ungrateful people who don't respect the label. And if you got no respect for the label, then get the fuck off it. Straight up, I'm not having any tolerance for these people anymore. I'm done with these people. And as far as other rappers go, I've reached out to them, but it's not about the music; it's about the money. And this might come across like I have a bit of an ego, but a lot of these rappers, they want me to pay money for a collab, and I'm only really paying for the clout. I'll be real, because I don't think these people are better rappers than me. So like I'm paying money for a verse that I don't think is even going to be as good as a verse that I'm going to deliver on the track. And it just overall seems like a waste of my time and money for clout that I don't feel like I need. Like it reflects back to that thing of we're celebrating ourselves, like we don't need approval from other people to tell us that we're the shit, like we know we're the shit. Like I kind of went through this phase where I was like, oh, if I get this rapper on a track, or if I get that rapper on a track, like, because they got a bigger fan base than me or whatever, that'll get me clout, And then I don't know, I thought about it, and I thought I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. Like, doing it for clout, I think, is the wrong reason, because like I don't feel like I need the clout, like that comes back into that thing of trying to get famous again, or trying to get recognition, or trying to get people to respect me, and it comes back into that thing of caring what other people think too much again. And like Yeah, like I felt like it was just steering a bit too much away from everything that we've stood for like the last 5 years. So yeah, unless you're on EDR, I ain't really fucking with you. Yeah, I'm only doing tracks with people that are on my label. We got our little crew and we're happy with what we do, and we don't need you. Yeah, that's sort of the philosophy now.
What future projects are you planning, both personally and with Evil Dead Records?
Future projects, we got a remix for the album For President, which was one of my albums from 10 years ago. I'm doing a remix version of it, which I'm hoping to have released in November. It should be done by then, which would be exactly 10 years after the original. So it's sort of like an anniversary. But instead of releasing an anniversary for the album, I'm doing a 2024 version where I'm remixing all the songs and doing modern versions of these songs. There's also a Bloody album in the works called Reaper. I'm not quite sure when that's going to come out. That's just an album that's currently being worked on. And the next Zeke Hayter album, Ugly, which is also currently being worked on. Ugly is going to be released in 2025. It's not coming out until next year because I'm really taking my time with that release. And also, for anyone who hasn't, go check out Enemies of Benefits. We're looking to do a trilogy, possibly, of Enemies of Benefits and do 3 albums of Enemies of Benefits. So we haven't started working on it yet, but in the future there will be in the works. We're going to start working on Enemies of Benefits too. See, when it comes to Evil Dead Records, everyone is very much entitled to their own thing, like Bloody just he works on the album and he tells me when it's done and he sends it to me and I release it on the label. So I can't give a release date for Reaper, but there is a new Bloody album coming out called Reaper, and I can't give a release date for Ugly, but there is a new Zeke Hayter album in the works called Ugly, and that will come out in 2025 because I'm not releasing anything until it's something I'm really happy with. And I think further down the line, Enemies of Benefits 2 will be something that we're going to start working on. We've kind of taken this approach now where we take a little bit longer to release our stuff because we don't want to rush anything. We want to take our time with it, and we really want to make something that we're happy with. And basically, we don't release it unless it's something that, like almost everything I release is something I've listened to it like 100 times before releasing it, and I've gone, I think I like it, So it's really got to pass that test, and so we're very like with Enemies of Benefits, the album we made this year. I think we started working on that in 2022. It took us a long time to get it done, and that's because we wanted the album to be perfect. We wanted every track to be fire. I took that approach and kind of new, and it's the same approach that I'm taking currently with this album working on Ugly. Every single track is going to be something that I'm really, really vibing with. Otherwise, the album is going to get released. Until it's something that I can listen to back and be really, really satisfied with. And then I'm like, okay, it's good to go, and then it'll get released publicly. So we take a little bit longer to release things now, but that's because we've become a little bit more perfectionist in what we do. We don't put something out unless it's something we're genuinely really happy with and we really like. But there are future releases coming. There's always new music on the way, and I would say the album that's the closest to being around the corner is the For President remix album. That should be done by November. There was a bit of a delay where I wasn't able to record anything for a while, but that's all been fixed now, and I'm going to start working on it again. So it's already almost done. Like I've got about 5 more tracks to go, and then we'll be good to go. And that is, I would say, the release that's going to come out the soonest is the For President remix album. There will also be a Halloween single dropping this year, as there is every year. There'll be a Halloween single in October. But as of now, I would say like the new releases we got out for people to go check out. Go check out Sad Girl. That's my new EP. I also put out a best of Zeke Hayter album this year, which is, I think a pretty decent reflection of the past 20 years of my career. It's a 2-disc album. I've never done anything like that before. I was always kind of against the idea of a best of album, but after 20 years, I finally caved in and put one out. And Enemies of Benefits is out. Definitely go check that out because that album is the shit. And the Bloody does have a new album out that he put out this year, Batitude. So in terms of 2024 stuff, go check all that stuff out because that's what Evil Dead Records has currently got out at the moment, and new stuff is always on the way. I don't want to give away too much because I never like saying, oh, this album's going to be awesome when it's not finished yet, but Ugly, I really like the way it sounds so far. It's not finished yet, but I'm very happy with how it's coming along, and I think people who like my music are going to like it too.
If you could dedicate a few final words to Linda in her tribute, what would you say?
I would say rest in peace, and I'm sure she's in a better place, and I'm sure she's still rocking out to hardcore jams, listening to her favorite tunes wherever she is.
The music video for Ringworm has achieved a substantial viewership. Do you believe this is due to the merits of the song or the fact that you present yourself in a way that highlights your feminine attributes? Please note that I'm not suggesting your physical appearance is the primary factor in the video's popularity, but rather that the synergy between your remarkable song and the engaging visuals makes it truly exceptional.
I do think that it's important to have a look and have an image, and I think that it's definitely got a mixed reception, but nobody else looks like that and is doing the music that I'm doing, and I think that stands out, and whether people like it or not, they can't deny that. The music video itself was actually filmed in this abandoned house that me and my friend found, who we were sitting in there and we were having some drinks, and we were like, man, this place is creepy. And we really liked the creepy vibe of it, so we got some costumes together and some candles, and we brought some cameras in there and we set shit up and we filmed a video.